Ladies and gentlemen, I've received a donation from somebody who has a couple of questions. How do you make a good career for yourself, he asks, and should you study for a college degree? He notes that he is, or she perhaps, I think a he, is in Eastern Europe, and there is no tuition for college. So does that matter, he says. Even if it's free, should I maybe still not worry about college? Well, from what I understand, most of the socialists and Marxists left in the world are in American universities and British and French universities. So I don't know exactly how bad the universities are in East Europe, but it would not surprise me one single bit if they were absolutely horrific and atrocious. I would not be even a little bit surprised to learn that they are real garbage to go to. Like Einstein said of the university system in Germany, he said they could stop a person from loving knowledge who had loved it to begin with. Their way of teaching knowledge was so bad. However it was done, he thought it was done just horribly. So I don't know too much about that. I'd say if it's free, I would go and take classes you're interested in, but since it's free, they probably don't allow you to do that. You probably have to choose your degree and follow a strict regimen of classes that are required. Since that's probably what it is, I don't know. That's up to you. Try it if you like. See how it goes. When I was going to college, I went for 4 years, and I just ignored the requirements for my degree, whatever degree I was thinking of at the time. I didn't even care. I didn't give a damn. I just looked through the syllabus. Oh, that looks like an interesting class there. Anthropology of States 101, History of the State Before Writing. I'll take that. Now, it had nothing to do. It was a requirement for history, for my history degree. But it was only a requirement in the sense that it could go towards my history degree, but I had already filled out my history requirements for my history degree, and then I needed, a couple other things. I had a 2-year degree, in the basket. It's just that I had to finish my required classes, which I never could even stand to do, because they have, socialist nonsense stuff that they want you to be indoctrinated with. Every kid has to have this or that indoctrination, and then they can choose other classes. And it's those indoctrination classes I just could not stand. So, now about choosing a career. Choose something that you like and think is important. Do not choose something that you think will pay well, although that's not the worst thing you could do. You could do worse than that, like not choosing any career at all and just deciding you're going to play World of Warcraft your whole life. Choose some career. Here are a couple of guidelines that I've used. Clear back when I was in high school, I used these guidelines thinking about what business I would get into. Now, I wanted to be a college professor back then, but I was torn between that, thinking of that as academia and writing and the ivory tower on the one side, and on the other side, the possibility of doing something much more down-to-earth and productive, like starting a farming business or a trucking business or a restaurant chain or a factory of some kind. This isn't advice, by the way, on how to choose just any old career. This is advice on how to choose a super career or something like that. Find an area in the economy, in the world, in life, find an area where there is a very, very massive change needed. That's requirement number 1. And requirement number 2, that there is no competition in that area. Those are like impossible to find, and they'll be the hardest nuts to crack. Now, there's a whole lot of important change needed on the internet, writing code and stuff. But there are a lot of people doing that. That's the hot spot today. So I would say don't go into internet stuff unless you really want to, unless you're really interested in it. I wouldn't be able to choose that as a career because it's not even interesting. Choose something that needs change and that doesn't have anybody in it changing it right now. Now in America, a couple of examples are the road system. It needs change really bad. We need roads that will allow us to go 200 miles an hour, and we need them yesterday. The road system is stuck. We're going the same speed we were going 80 or 90 years ago. Okay, when people bought a V8 Ford in the 1930s, they could go 70, 80 miles an hour with it. Here we are near a century later, and we've got our goddamn speed limit is 70 miles an hour on many of our roads, 65, 75, whatever. So the road system is one thing that you could break into if you knew anything about it and wanted a really, really tough nut to crack, because that would involve getting dirty with legislation and stuff. You would have to get involved with government and lobbying and so on. There's one place, though. That's a possible hands-on, dirty career. Education is one place in America. It really, really needs to be reformed. 95% of American students go to public schools. 5 or 6 or 7%, or in some states 8 or 9% go to private schools. But 90 to 95% in any given state are in public schools, and that is an atrocity. With that much of the market, the public schools set the pattern for education, and they set a sort of floor below which private schools can't drop, and that's easy enough. So private schools just have to beat the public schools by some modicum of teaching skill, and they are successful. They don't even have to beat it by very far. So I'm looking at 5 or 6 or 7% of the market as my competition. Can I beat them? I think so. Can I take students away from the public schools, which means I'd have to virtually educate them for free? That's going to be a little harder. You know, there's a lot of parents out there who would put their kids in a private school if it was a good private school with a good reputation and it was free. I don't know if I'll be able to get it that far, to lower the cost so far that it'll actually be a money-making proposition to allow kids to come to the school for free. I don't know. That sounds nearly impossible, but I'd like to do it. If you wanted to be an artist or an architect, that's something you might go into. Those are very different, but they're both in the aesthetic realm, you know. Because those are both completely open today. There's almost nobody who's producing good art. And likewise, there's almost nobody producing good-looking buildings. It's all the stupidest modern nonsense. So there's virtually no competition there. Everybody's just trying to make their crap look like the latest tumble-down pile of boxes,